you. Wow, now that's a tough act to follow. I heard cheering in the crowd, and I hope I'll get the same at the end of this presentation. Hi everybody, it's such a pleasure to be here. A 24-hour journey from the end of the earth to beautiful Munich to share this experience with you all. So I'm very, very grateful. So who am I? I'm Michelle Martinis. I'm Executive Manager of AAMI, and as mentioned, we're Australia's most popular insurance brand, if there can be such a thing, and there is such a thing in Australia. I'm a career marketer. I've spent over 15 years working in marketing for some of Australia's most loved brands, and I've loved every single brand that I've worked on. So my work philosophy, oh no, I'm on me, so that's me. And please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. So I'm quite often asked, how do you build great teams that deliver great creative that consumers love and engage with? And I often say to them, it's really simple. You've just got to start being human-centred, focus on your people and focus on the customer. You know, just accept that life is messy and you're never going to have all the answers. Things need to be tangible. You need to co-create with people and always consider what you're doing and how it fits in with the whole. So that's kind of summed up in come, try, let's collaborate, and we'll figure this out together. In terms of my inspiration, and this will give you a bit of a setup for what I'm about to show you, is I love this quote so much. It's from Maya Angelou, and I don't know if any of you have heard it, but you know, people will forget what you said and they'll forget what you did, but they'll never forget the way you made them feel. And you'll see in my marketing, it's all about connecting through emotion. So, who is AAMI? Let me show you one piece of screen content that I produced for AAMI.
We're off to Broken Hill! Where are we off to? Broken Hill!
We're broken down, doll.
Oh. We're not going to Broken Hill.
Hold on to your boa, babe. I know a girl.
Broken down near Broken Hill, AAMI's roadside assist option is Australia-wide with unlimited call-outs 24/7.
I got us, darling. Thank you. Now that's who I call the Queen of the Desert.
Service anywhere, anytime. That's not very insurance-y.
So who would have thought that I would have been the first marketer to combine drag queens with insurance? AAMI is a brand that has a really clear platform. Our desire is to be not very insurance-y. We know that customers think all insurance brands are the same. We know that businesses want to evolve to become more than just insurers or more than just banks, solving for customer pain points. And for us, our brand insight is then we need to be not very insurance-y. And in fact, that's our tagline. In terms of describing the brand's personality, we use Carl Jung's archetypes. We are the everyman. We're your next door neighbour, you know, your friend, but with a jester face. We like to make people smile and bring joy into their world. The essence of the brand is red, lucky, fresh, fun and helpful. And as I said, we know that humour always wins, and we're going to hear a little bit more about that later on today. So our content is always very funny. Over the past 12 months, and since we've started deploying this strategy of connecting through humour and universal truths, we've won over 70 local and international awards, which I'm super proud of, and it gives me incredible joy, including 8 Cannes Lions, which is, yeah, wonderful. So in terms of how we spend our marketing dollars, I really believe, as this quote says, that every dollar you spend is a vote for the kind of world you want to live in, so spend it wisely, and we do. And there are lots of opportunities for us to create amazing content and amazing outcomes, but we're very particular in how we spend it, and what we want to do is really solve for our customers' pain points, put ourselves in our customers' world, figure out what their needs are and how we can connect through empathy and utility to solve their problems and build brand affinity. So one of the things that marketers are always doing is looking for new audiences, and the millennial audience was one that we wanted to target. It's interesting though, they're rarely targeted because they don't have a lot of disposable income and they're hard to target. So what we did is we started to look at how they consumed media. They're super fast, always on, very social, very mobile. They have very short attention spans. You know, they say the average adult has 6 to 8 seconds in terms of attention span, and yet millennials are between 2 and 5 seconds. So you've got to be fast and furious when communicating with them. And interestingly, they have very high expectations of brands. They expect brands to be responsible and to contribute to the community and have a really clear payoff for their engagement. So they need you to know them, be empathetic, understand them, show me what's in it for me, and help overcome pain points. So we realised that that was our task. We were going to reach millennials with fast-paced, digitally and socially focused content that solved for a key pain point and gave them a quick payoff and contributed to the community. And so, AAMI SmartPlates was born. It's an app. It's really a real-time driving coach. It blocks your phone access when you're driving. It tracks practice hours. It tells you about road types and weather conditions, and really it's designed to really generate a safer driving generation. So here's a little video. So I don't know how German children learn to drive, but in Australia, for 50 years, learner drivers would have to complete a manual logbook. They'd have to ask their parents to take them for a drive and get out the book when they got home and remember how many hours they did and where they drove and what the weather conditions were like. And you can imagine, today, the millennials, they can't even bear to write their name on a piece of paper, let alone fill out a logbook for hours and hours. So what we decided to do was to digitise it. We couldn't believe that no one had thought about doing that before, and we thought they would really appreciate this, they would really love this, because I think part of growing from adolescent to adult is about getting a driver's licence and driving a car. So it was an unavoidable pain point that they would face, and we solved it for them. So what we thought is that we would develop a campaign that was all about showing them that we understood that they were the smartest generation, the fastest generation, the generation, that were going to, do new things and do things in new ways. And that was the platform we created. We used influencers, and Australia loves football. I don't know if you've seen Australians rules football. It's like a gladiatorial battle of, men and women with no protection, no sort of padding or protection. And it's a great sport. And so we used some footballers to help us get the message out, and other influencers, including learner drivers. We made sure that we produced that really fast video, and we had an even faster version because that's how this audience consumes information. We did a Spotify playlist. We used all the social channels basically to amplify our message. Hype videos, Facebook, Snapchat, Spotify, etc. And then of course we took the message out even wider so the parents of children would know about, what we were doing here. We reached 15.9 million, which is, almost half the Australian population with our launch. We generated nearly $100,000 worth of media coverage because we did something new and innovative. And overall, the sentiment was incredibly positive for our brand. We, in the first 72 hours, we got 500 downloads, representing 10% of the total download target we'd set ourselves for that one geography that we launched in. And today, a year later, we have 25% of the learner driver market downloaded onto AAMI SmartPlates. For us as a brand, that represents a great opportunity to start remarketing to that audience for their future insurance needs. So what did we learn? Well, we learnt first and foremost, it's perfectly normal for new ideas to make you nervous. You know, everything you do is, you know, every new idea, every great idea is a little bit scary. But big ideas don't come along every day, so you've got to be brave and do it anyway. And, you know, it took us nearly 18 months to build that app. Because, you know, in large organisations, you have changes of leadership. You have all these little hurdles that you need to overcome. You need to resell concepts in, but it's worth the journey and it's worth doing it. We learnt that doing good is valued and rewarded. We got incredible coverage, free coverage for what we were doing, and our brand engagement scores went through the roof because of what we were doing in terms of solving, you know, for a customer need and building a smarter and safer generation of young drivers. I think if we had to talk about what we would do differently, you need to be patient when you're doing incredibly new things. And because we wanted to truly embed this app in every geography in Australia, and Australia is a huge country, it's like having conversations with all the heads of the European, you know, communities. It took us a little bit longer than expected, so I think it's always good to add 3 months to your proposed target launch date, just so you can manage expectations. We chose to, even though we have a very, very big, as an insurance company, a very big technology area, we chose to externally host and develop the app, because quite often doing it with agency partners takes less time, so you can get to market a lot quicker. And I think it's really important to maintain those agency project management resources for a while later as, you know, the app matures and, you know, gets better. So I think in terms of, this is another question I'm often asked, and that's how do you create that space for innovation in your team? And I think it starts with culture. We've talked a little bit about culture. I haven't understood all the presentations because I don't speak German, but you know, culture is really important. You've got to build a culture where employees feel trusted and it's okay to fail fast. Keep your eye on the customer always. Be really curious and confident. Be courageous. Collaborate, because there are so many people that look at things with a different perspective and know much more than you. And, you know, curate and declutter and just do one meaningful thing well rather than many. I went to a conference recently and there was a speaker who said something that seemed quite profound to me. You know, he said that business decisions, it was a creators conference, so he was saying that business decisions are typically driven to achieve blame minimisation. So executives will choose the path of least resistance and what's logical, because they know that even if it goes wrong, it can be defended. But if we continue just to do what's logical and predictable, your competitors will do what's logical and predictable too, and you really won't rise above the crowd. So it's the surprising, the illogical and the disruptive that will win in the end. So here's a little video. This was our Cannes submission, which will tell you just a little bit more about AAMI SmartPlates.
It's Australia's deadly epidemic. Too many of our kids are still dying on our roads.
3 young lives lost in an instant.
The car in which they were travelling hit a tree.
1 in 3 L-platers are learning incorrect skills.
As Australia's leading insurance brand, we knew young drivers were most at risk. And when we started to research why, we discovered the way they learnt to drive hadn't changed in 50 years.
Learners still record their hours in a manual logbook. It's a system that's inaccurate and it limits their learning potential.
We knew it was time to update how we teach our kids to drive, so we developed AAMI SmartPlates, a real-time driving tracker and coach that sits at the core of a new learning ecosystem. When learners begin a journey, Roadblock locks the phone, silences calls and sends the callers an automated text response. Once driving, SmartPlates tracks every detail of every drive. Practice hours, road types, weather data and traffic density is all recorded in real time. Then, the data gets crunched into skill sets so learners know exactly what they're mastering and what needs sharpening. Behind the scenes, SmartPlates Coach analyses driving data to pinpoint learning gaps while scanning the environment for opportunities to fill them. So Coach knows where you need to practice and when to tell you, reducing the risk of accidents caused by inexperience. After sessions, parents authorise hours and learners can drill down into their drive history to gain a complete picture of their progress, then get motivation to practice more by competing with friends.
The integrated driving skills and the fact parents can monitor progress via a learning hub, that's going to create safer drivers and smarter teachers.
A new smartphone app that tracks the journeys of learner drivers.
The logbook stays are numbered.
Having technology that prevents that from occurring is a really good development.
AAMI SmartPlates app.
Learning to drive is about to get easier with a new app that provides local learners with an alternative to the traditional logbook.
And SA is the first state to officially recognise the new app.
By completely reinventing the way Australians learn to drive, AAMI Insurance is a brand that not only covers accidents, but helps the next generation avoid them entirely.
Thank you very much for your attention. That's AAMI SmartPlates.